Wolf, are you ready for this?
Oh my god.
Wolf.
Funny pandas.
Wolf. This video is called... Wolf. This video is called Spider-Man Far From Home... I didn't... Why is that funny?
The pandas.
The panda barked. It scared the bigger one.
How is that playing for you? It's not playing for me. Oh, okay. Anyway, look.
No, it's... What?
It's the video's called Spider-Man Far From Home Broke My Heart.
Oh. Am I gonna cry?
Yes.
Maybe.
What's up, Mr. Stark? Mr. Stark. Mr. Stark, it smells like a new car in here. Hey, Mr. Stark, what should I do? Gotta impress Mr. Stark, so... I mean, what if Mr. Stark needs me or something, or... Mr. Stark? I don't feel so good.
It's 3:35 a.m. I just watched Spider-Man
152.
Far From Home.
Got him.
And I feel sick. Is that dramatic? Yeah. Is it weird that a comic book movie made me feel kind of sick? Yeah, very. But hear me out for a second before you smash that dislike button.
Is that his real face?
Yes. Are you going to say something mean?
Okay, look, I'm looking at it like I would look at an anime face. He kind of looks like... I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, he's doing the look out the window and be bored and long for something bigger trope.
Yes. And he's nailing it.
Why do his cheeks look weird? He's got he's got like the faded outline of
Is it the window
mustache.
itself? The mirror looks a bit smooged.
Dude, you can see like all the dots where the hairs on his face would come in, and he would totally pull off a total chin.
I hope so. Anybody who has the ability to do such a thing elevates to a different degree.
I once considered like just like shaving my chin just to see if I could do a total chin, and then I thought about it for 3 seconds, and I was like, that would be a bad idea.
Dude, this guy's heart is broken. You're making fun of his chin. What the hell?
His cheeks.
I mean, look at his face. I don't think he has much of a heart to break.
Oh.
Need to get some help. Imagine living, breathing, and eating two things. And then imagine seeing something that makes you not like those two things.
Dude, Tom Petty's
makes
dead.
you not
That's
want
really
to.
sad.
Who?
Tom Petty?
Tom Petty. He's dead. It's really sad.
Some help. Imagine living, breathing, and eating two things. And then imagine seeing something
That's a
that
lot
makes
of
you
things to
not
do at
like
once.
those two things. Makes you not want to care about those two things. Obviously, I fucking love Spider-Man and I fucking love movies. I've made, it has to be 1,000 at this point, Spider-Man videos. Negative Spider-Man videos, positive Spider-Man videos. I've given more than my 2 cents on Spidey. My plan was and still is to finish the Raimi series and cover this film and be done talking about the webhead. I've said almost everything I have to say, and to be honest,
Webhead.
People do call him that.
Yeah, that's
Dude.
what they used to call him. I mean, they used to call him that in the cartoon, too.
What if there was a strain that turns you into a webhead?
What if the strain was called Webhead?
Wolf is being pure cancer. Ra, you always make edgelord fucking racist jokes so that you can get people to think that you're funny when you're really just a fucking faggot. So,
Oh, God.
I'm just saying, sometimes we have conversations, and those conversations usually include Ra's gay.
It's okay, Ra. He says it out of love, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure he's
No,
hoping you're
don't.
gay so he can, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look, kick Wolf? Fuck you. I can kick you, Ra.
Jeez.
Hold on, here we go.
No, Raw, run away.
Put user in timeout.
No!
There we go.
The abuse of power. How much did you just put him into thingy for? What did you just do?
What?
No.
For 300 seconds, you know?
I'm tired of it all. All the hate,
So
all
now
the
there's a
arguing about a
choice.
fictional character that's supposed to bring people together. I don't need to give you the whole speech. You know this is an opinion piece. I encourage you to go see the movie and make your own opinion piece. You could love something that I hate. I could love something that you hate. You know the drill. Art is subjective.
Uh-oh.
What did he say? Can we rewind?
Art is subjective.
Make your own opinion piece. You could love something that I hate. I could love something that you hate. You know the drill. Art is subjective.
Okay. Why are we still having this conversation?
It's a never-ending one.
Didn't we figure this out with The Last Jedi? Like,
no,
if you think
Game
that-
of Thrones, you
like,
would
if
think would have done it, right? You would think.
Well, here's the thing, right? I thought The Last Jedi kind of established that if you like the movie, you're dumb, and if you think art is subjective, you are also kind of dumb.
What?
You've nailed it, dude. They are the arguments.
Got him. Wait,
I'm just
Who
saying.
needs that?
I'm just saying.
who needs a fucking essay?
All I can
dude?
do is tell you how I feel, and this is how I feel.
All right, so he's not going
Go
to
after-
express any facts about the films. Then he's just going to talk about his feelings.
I'm
Foof
ready.
said something funny. He said, "Go after one knicker, you go after the entire knicker station." And I was just thinking, like, what did you put an S there? And it was Snicker. Snickers.
Snickers
You're not
station.
yourself when you don't have Snickers,
I'm sure that's what he was going for.
dude. I want.
Yeah, he's like,
Snickers.
oh,
Spider-Man
man.
Far From Home takes everything that worked about Endgame, every heartbreaking moment, and turns it into a joke within the first 2 minutes of the film.
Yeah, high school students made a tribute to the world's heroes. It's a tone
Dude,
setter for the
They
film.
spelled memoriam wrong.
I'm pretty sure that's how they do it in the film, and I'm pretty sure it's in Comic Sans.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
All
high,
lowercase.
it's funny. I actually remember reading some threads on Reddit, just seeing initial reactions to Far From Home, so I was curious. A lot of people were celebrating this, and I remember reading one from a teacher saying that it was uncanny how similar this was to something that he organized a bunch of students to try and make. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
'cause students are stupid.
They really
If you're
are.
Like if you're like
I
under the
remember.
age of
I like-
21, you're like by default a dummy.
I'm pretty sure it's the picture of Vision that's like all pixely, or at least JPEG'd a bit, like because it's like a zoomed in bad picture. The other ones are like the aspect ratio and the resolution changes for each one. Like,
And then one of the images has the Getty Images watermark.
yeah,
It literally does. It's really great. It's like it's down to a T of those like high school morning announcements ones handled by high schoolers. It's perfect.
Dude, I remember there was this thing. It wasn't in high school. It was in middle school where they were like trying to teach us like themes for shit, like trying to teach us how to be good people. And they showed us that scene from Return of the King where Frodo throws Gollum down a really big hole. And to this day, I can't figure out what in the hell theme they were trying to teach us. And I'm just like,
beware
who's
the
guy-
vagina, it'll swallow you whole.
do they think I like to imagine there's just like some dude who is like, come on, we'll show Lord of the Rings, maybe more people will see Lord of the Rings. And I was like, okay, that just inspires me to watch it again, so thank you.
The theme is
Dude,
toss
there's
your
a guy
retarded
called
friends in
Cop
the well.
Wiseau in the chat. I can't imagine Tommy being a cop.
I'd love a
Pull
cop.
over!
But yeah, this is tonally in line with the movie. It's maybe not tonally in line with Endgame because it's not Endgame.
Tonally?
Tonally, yes.
About Endgame, every heartbreaking moment, and turns it into a joke within the first 2 minutes of the film.
I'm pretty sure they're actually sincere about it. It's like an actual attempt from the students to construct something like that. They even thank like the students that were involved with it or whatever. It's just, yeah, students aren't particularly well matched for a project like that, and the film is definitely trying to set a lighter tone.
I looked over to my
Why is
friend
there
while
a drone?
There's
There's
a
a
drone.
drone flying in the hallway.
I
Pretty sure
Will
that shit
Always
wouldn't be
Love
allowed.
You
That's
was playing.
unrealistic.
You ever think that maybe that's the government keeping an eye on you all?
Ooh. Bet you didn't think of that.
I can't think of much of anything right now.
I can tell.
the film.
That's why we love
I looked
having you
over to my
back, yeah.
friend while I Will Always Love You was playing over goofy headshots of the dead Avengers, the dead heroes, while they were making a meme of the dead heroes, and his jaw had dropped to the floor.
I thought it was funny. Like, I don't know why I just-
And you know what I found funny about that is they had actually played that song on one of our morning announcements when I was in high school, so it was perfect.
Right off the bat, how am I supposed to be invested in this Peter Parker's grief if the film is so focused on making fun of that grief?
Peter Parker's not doing anything but taking it seriously. The school students are not taking it seriously. The idea that the film doesn't take it seriously is an interesting claim.
Yeah,
I think when you have zombie Iron Man attacking Peter, it's probably the film taking it pretty seriously.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like it just kind of shows a distinct lack of self-awareness that high school students usually have for like production stuff, and so it's not like the movie's like, oh, it's funny that these people died. It's just kind of a goof on high school students and their creativity or lack thereof, and that's developing.
But yeah, all right.
I guess I should have
Ra,
expected
I will
that.
allow you to stay in the chat, but you have to bow down and say that you love Big Brother. Big Brother being me. Just imagine me with that big Stalin mustache. I'm just saying,
focused
Stalin
on-
had a rockin' fashion sense. Not as good as Hitler, but you know.
Making fun of that grief. I guess I should have expected this. The same duo who wrote Ant-Man the Wasp, another fun, lighthearted adventure, wrote Far From Home, and maybe that's my problem with it. Far From Home is so focused on being fun, on being light, that it never explores its ideas or themes with any kind of weight.
I don't think I agree.
No.
The plane sequence is quite heavy, where he's just unloading the fact that he's just not good enough, and that his whole identity is surrounded by the idea that he's supposed to be this thing that he doesn't think he can be, and then Happy gives him the boost.
I mean, plane sequences have to be heavy. You know how much a plane weighs?
See, and Wolf just bringing in the facts to support, so yeah, I mean, that's, you can't deny that. The
I felt for the kid when he was like talking to Mysterio in the fake bar and everything like that, and how he was, having a struggle, and how he was trying to convince Fury to find somebody else for the job. It's like, I felt for the poor kid, because like we were just talking about it earlier, all the shit that had happened to him, and he's just trying to get a moment to like secure MJ like in his life and then get back to it. It's like, damn, poor fucking kid.
Either of you guys ever made a plan to ask a girl out? Multiple steps?
Yeah.
I have.
Maybe not to the degree that he. Well, I mean,
I-
maybe
I
not to the
do.
degree he's going to, but
I wouldn't have, because I do not have the straight.
oh,
I thought you knew this.
Once
I
again-
thought I asked you out at one point.
I mean, you tried, but you were so high that I was like, oh, if you do this again while high, I'll know it's true.
Oh, right, during the April Fool's stream that I deleted.
It's good that you
We
deleted
did
that
it.
stream.
that was a stupid idea, wasn't it?
It's a terrifying
That was
idea.
That was the worst idea I think I might have ever had.
Weight. Once again, the lasting consequences for this version of Peter Parker are almost non-existent.
we're going.
I'm
with
gonna
this
name-
non-existent.
I'm gonna name a lasting consequence from this film that will possibly tie in to future events in the MCU. His
I know exactly what
identity
you're
is
going-
revealed to the world,
Exactly.
and he is labeled public enemy number 1.
Uh-huh.
To me,
Right.
personally, that seems like a significant consequence. To me.
Dude, and he was called out by the guy from Whiplash, who's really scary.
Yeah,
He was called out by the guy from Whiplash, you're right.
exactly.
You know
Yeah,
how
that's
scary
guy.
that dude was in that movie?
Terrifying. I don't even like understand music.
He
lingo
like
and everything
temporarily
like that. I
scared
fucking
me
love
back into being straight for a second, and then the movie ended. And I was like, okay,
Good
well, this is
God, that must have been horrifying.
It was. Jesus. Do you know
Parker,
how great
or-
that movie is, though? It's like really good.
Almost
Great movie, I love
non-existent.
We should
Remember
watch that
all the
again.
We should.
She said the F word.
dramatic potential of May knowing Peter is Spider-Man. What the Watts and company could really dive deep into what it's like to be the mother of Spider-Man.
Yeah, they could. They didn't.
She kind of like just points it out a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you referring to, Wolf?
Well, there's that scene in the first movie, right, where they're at the bar or whatever, and they're seeing the Spider-Man on TV, and she's like, "You don't go anywhere near that if you see anything like that." And then I can't remember much of Far From Home, to be honest.
I mean, my assumption was that once she found out he was a super, she was like, hey man, yeah, save people. It's a good tism. And if you were like, well, we don't get to know.
Who knows what I'm talking about? I like this guy.
And they didn't explore much with Aunt May. And hopefully we get more in the future, I guess, but I don't see it as being a requirement versus an alternate thing to target. You know what I mean? It's like we can develop. They could have left MJ at the same levels they did in the previous one and developed May. It's like they chose they chose what they chose, and it's like to know May's position in all of this doesn't necessarily. I guess it just changes the story because you need her in a lot more scenes, and if she's there, it's just that's all.
That
Yeah,
was
and right
contradictory
now-
to her reaction to this film. Like I said, I barely remember Far From Home. Be perfectly honest here. Like, thinking about it, like, I would probably never go out of my way to even watch this movie again. I didn't really think much of Far From Home. I thought it was boring. Could have probably done something better with my night. Like,
Okay.
Oh dear.
play video games instead.
Some more.
But yeah, she does say that if you see that kind of danger,
Hashtag Shad was right. Well, what the hell, oof oof? Kick me. I thought we were friends. Guess not.
apparently not.
Broke my heart.
But yeah, she does say beforehand, stay away from shit like that. But then, obviously, once she finds out Peter's Spider-Man, she seems to be on board with it. So people would highlight that as a contradiction, while I would be like, it seems to me that she's changed her mind since she found out something pretty significant about little old Petey boy.
Yeah,
But-
and considering that he helped save the world and everything with the Avengers, she realizes his potential, and she's not quite as worried as she could any other regular kid or anything like that.
I'd
She still
be
has
cool with
worries
a scene for that though.
What do I
That
have
would
to
be pretty nice.
apologize for? I don't get it. All I said was that Shad was right. I like Shad.
I like Shad too. He's a cool man.
Yeah,
the
he's
mother of
he may be a
Spider-Man.
bit of a fat man, but you know he's at least a
Wow.
respectable fat man.
Wolf's a mean man.
I'm not
Does she
mean.
worry about him putting his life in danger every night? Does she worry the same thing that happened to the love of her life will happen to Peter? No. She's 100% supportive of her superhero
Kick
son.
chat? Can we do
If
that?
she finds out people try and kill me every single night, she's not gonna let me do this anymore.
Remember when
In fairness, she says to him when he's crying to her about losing the internship in the first film, she says, "I know you've been going out every night. Just tell me the truth. What have you been doing?" The idea being she knows he's doing something that's potentially dangerous, but she hasn't actually stopped him or addressed it yet, implying that she might be on board with a bit more dangerous activities. She said that she used to do that when she was younger too, so there's elements to work with. There's elements to work with.
I tell people try and kill me every single night, she's not gonna let me do this anymore.
Remember when half the universe got
Well,
wiped
that's the
out?
thing.
Watson Company
It's It's like I forgot I actually have the power to pause too, but that's just Peter underestimating Aunt May's respect for his abilities and everything like that. That's not to say like Peter just wrote the rules on Aunt May.
Stop writing for the movie. When I reference dialogue,
Yeah.
things that are happening in the movie.
I gotta be honest. This scene where he was like swinging through the city taking selfies was like really cringe.
That's like subjective, bro.
It was,
You
it was
ain't swinging around going
maybe
up the
not,
buildings. You wouldn't take some pictures.
it was so stupid. It was almost maybe not as egregious as when a Hulk dabbed, but it was still really stupid.
Jesus Christ, that you'd compare it to that? Wow.
I just said it wasn't as bad.
You compared.
So it
You
was-
brought it up, dude. Ugh. Ugh.
Oh, come on, chat. You agree. It was cringy.
We've got yeses and nos.
Yeah. Why? Self-evident. I don't need to make an argument.
You're not allowed to take selfies in Wolf's movies.
Look at the my name, the Word of Wolf. It's like the Word of God. Only God's
A wolf?
an idiot.
But yeah, I don't know.
No, you're wrong.
I didn't actually mind it because he was talking to MJ while he was swinging around. She says like, "Don't do that," and he's like, "Heh," and then he nearly got
Don't
slapped.
text and swing. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of Don't Drink and Horse from A Million Ways to Die in the West. It was just as stupid of a joke.
I mean, I would actually recommend not texting and swinging, but "Don't Drink and Horse" doesn't even like pan out because it's the whole
I
joke in
know,
that
but
film is using
they were
modern
both-
language in the
they were
past.
both really stupid lines.
But his isn't even necessarily a joke; it's an actual warning.
You, sir, are wrong.
You, sir, have the highness.
He has
to
the high
really
ground.
dive deep into the post-Endgame world and how Peter fits into that world. Did any of the people close to Peter survive the snap? Did any of the people close
Does
to
it
Peter have to deal
matter?
with the grief of the snap, the grief of losing Peter? Nope. Every key player from Homecoming conveniently got snapped and didn't suffer at all.
Does it ever say that?
I'm pretty sure there's members of the Decathlon that we don't see from the first one into the second one,
Hold on. None of them are aged any differently.
which means they all got
That's what
snapped.
they covered. Yeah, they covered that. They said everybody who got blipped, they call it the blip, anybody who got blipped came back as the same age while the world moved ahead 5 years without them.
Yeah, so they didn't change, so they got blipped. You're dumb.
Well, his point is that nobody of like significance to Peter didn't, and thus nobody within his like circle of life people got to explain to him like the horrors of it, I guess. But again, if you're gonna complain that they're too happy with and fun with their tone, and then be like, why aren't there scenes of characters explaining how horrible it was to have lived through those 5 years? I'd just be like, I think this is kind of the element that's really unfair to this film as being in the MCU at this point, to have to deal with Endgame's tisms. It's like, you want to make your superhero movie with a protagonist that learns something. It's like, yeah, we got to deal with all this other stuff. You're like, oh, geez.
You know, Endgame should have just ended without any of the time travel. Should have just like everyone that died stayed dead.
Yes,
Just saying. It would have been more impactful.
would have been
a
better.
really good ending.
A really
No, they just had to.
They should have snapped, and it should have killed the other half that lived.
Should have just ended with Thanos getting his head chopped off, and it'd be like
The credits just roll.
It's like a Pixar short.
Oh hey, remember when Tony Stark, who is just Uncle Ben in these movies? About that. Peter Parker is a good kid with a good
Okay.
heart. He was
I'm
raised by
gonna
the two
say
best...
something that's gonna make a bunch of people really mad. You ready for this? I told you already, Mahler. So that line that Uncle Ben says, where he's like, fucking what's that line? Oh. With great power comes great responsibility. You know what that reminds me of? The greatest teacher failure is. Like, thank you, movie, for telling me the theme. I'm glad you're treating me like I'm an idiot. I mean, I am right now, but you know.
And now we
Yeah, I
wait
was
for
saying,
chat to react.
Uncle Ben was a pseudo-intellectual. He thought he was all smart. He's really just like he's basically like Sargon pretending he's like good at what he does when he's really not.
Just wait
Oh
for
god, it's a good
Unless we,
it's a good thing Rex isn't here. He'd scream.
unless
I
we
mean-
forget the other line after Yoda lightnings the books. Fuck that.
You just cut out. So all I heard was fuck that.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah, there you go. That makes more sense. Look, we need a list about how Uncle Ben's better, okay?
didn't suffer at all. Oh hey, remember when Tony Stark, who is just Uncle Ben in these movies? About that. Peter Parker is a good kid with a good heart. He was raised by the two best people in the world. One of those people was named Ben. Ben taught Peter how to be a good kid with a good heart. Ben died because of Peter's lack of responsibility. Spider-Man
Oh
was
god,
born.
don't show the Amazing Spider-Man.
Hey, they did it. That means they're
that was
better.
a weird transition.
Do we need to see Ben die again? Hell no. Is it unrealistic for Peter to never directly
I don't know,
mention
I'd
the man who
laugh at it
taught
the
him to
third
be a
time.
hero? The man who raised him? The man who was his father? Hell yes.
How do you even know that that's the case in the MCU?
The problem isn't Tony Stark being a mentor. The problem isn't Tony Stark. The problem is the implication that Tony means more to Peter Parker than Ben ever did.
What if he does? What happens then? I don't know, man. What if Peter
would be an interesting
learned
thing.
more from Tony than he did from Ben? What happens
Or
then?
maybe Tony, or maybe Tony is just filling a place in his heart that Ben can't fulfill, and he's not liking one better than the other. He just needs someone, you know.
Uncle Ben's suitcase is in this film and serves as the only reminder that Ben existed, and it ends up getting destroyed at some point off screen. and Peter doesn't give a single shit.
That doesn't pan out just because it's a briefcase that someone used.
What? Hold on, it was a sentimental briefcase.
But I don't know. I guess so. I don't remember.
Dude, what a stupid thing. I want to keep this briefcase because I am really attached to it. Man, I should keep my Dr. Pepper bottle because I'm really attached to what was formerly inside it, but is now currently sitting in my digestive system.
Uncle Ben's in your digestive system.
Could just imagine Peter, this suitcase meant a lot to me. Just kind of
it was a subjective briefcase.
Puts the hand over, and now it's yours.
All right, yeah,
Peter Parker doesn't give a single shit about losing something of his uncle's, which makes me assume that Ben was someone in this universe who didn't
not
really.
that important.
As all things go, you know, a lot of bad things happen at his trip.
It's like it'd be one thing if it was like a watch or a compass or some binoculars or picture or something. But a briefcase, really?
Yeah, it's
like,
a bit of a stretch.
Like look, I got when my cat died, I kept her food bowl because I had her for 19 years and I really missed her. So now I keep her food bowl. That's a little thing because like, what the fuck does a cat own? So it's like I got that. That's something. But there's probably a lot of things that Uncle Ben had that are briefcase.
People are posting briefcase milk. Was there milk in Uncle Ben's briefcase? I don't know.
Really matter all that much to Peter. Great. Cool. That makes perfect sense. Anyways, where was I? Oh, hey.
So it's not like the way you want it to be. Damn.
So, okay, so he's complaining that, oh, gee, I'm so glad that Ben, or, I'm sorry, oh, well, I'm wondering if I'm high now, too.
No sense crying over spoiled briefcase.
But, you know, Uncle Ben, he's complaining that he's, like, not being covered, even though he was just saying that he's glad he's not being covered. I don't know.
I guess he's glad we don't see how he dies. He wishes he was more of an influence on his life, but yeah, Tony's definitely in that role for this film. Tony's the one that meant a lot, and we got to see it, so it makes more sense that we would bank on that sort of relationship.
Hey, remember when Tony Stark, who is just Uncle Ben in these movies, died right in front of Peter, died in the arms of Pepper, Rhodey, and Peter? How does that affect Peter? He's grieving, but he wants to fall in love and go on vacation. Those things don't mix.
He needs to grieve forever. You see, it's not effective if he's not crying about it every other scene, even though this is the same kind of guy that'd be like, Peter cries too much. He never cried in the Raimi films except for the 11,000 times that he cried in the Raimi films, and it was funny every time because Tobey Maguire looks like an idiot every time he does it.
So if you're feeling blue, you might look to starting a relationship with somebody to try and alleviate said blueness. If you're feeling that your life has reached a sort of impasse / end of a phase, you might try and move on yourself. You push yourself. The idea that these two things are incongruous with each other, it spells out to me that this person might not have experienced something like that. But it's totally a thing that happens. And he's dealing with both ends of that scale throughout the whole movie, awkwardly trying to get something going with MJ while also dealing with the fact that his very important, very influential father figure has passed. And it's actually an element I liked.
And the thing is, it's like some kids just like to distract themselves too. That's another way of coping.
Dude,
died in the arm.
First off, the cat I was just talking about, she died 2 years ago. But I had another cat who died this year, and it was really sad because he was only like 2 years old, and it was because my neighbor's dogs were stupid and got in our yard because the neighbors are idiots and deserve death. So anyway, when he died, when this cat died, I was like, you know what? I feel sad. I don't want to be in my house right now because I can't think straight without my cat being around, because he was just everywhere. And so I left my house and I drove like an hour north, and I ate pizza and I went to a bookstore and I bought like a bunch of books that I probably won't read for the next 6 years because I have 400 books and 300 of them I haven't even read yet. I did everything I could to distract myself from the current pain I was feeling at that moment. So the fact that Peter is trying to do a thing that is not crying over it forever is completely realistic. I know that this guy has probably never understood or gone through loss in his entire probably 12 years of life, but you know, he could try empathy as a thing.
Yeah, see, there you go. A lot of the point is people deal with grief differently. You know, not everybody has
Dude,
to
why
follow
am
their
I
needs and
so?
love.
Why am I saying all this sad shit? What's this?
It's
Is weird.
topical.
It is topical.
That's probably what brought it on, was the video.
There you
Well, people might actually get frustrated hearing what he just said, you know, because it's like, oh, is that right? Is that right? That sort of thing. So he probably didn't expect that. He thought it was. I imagine he thought it was pretty simple. It's like happy, sad. You don't have them at the same time. Like, oh, well, not really that simple.
Peter died in the arms of Pepperodian Peter. How does that affect Peter? He's grieving, but he wants to fall in love and go on vacation. Those things don't mix. They don't. I'm sorry, but it's not real to me. It doesn't work for me. I can't feel for Peter's loss if the movie doesn't really feel for Peter's loss. Any and all dramatic potential is thrown out the window for the sake of another fun Spider-Man adventure featuring a quirky cast of underdeveloped kids and a villain whose motivation is based
Someone
entirely
said
around...
that I'm sad because this guy's putting forth a sad excuse of an argument. It's true.
Hey, the line's drawn.
Well, you're doing better than me. I got Mauler. You're a hypocrite. Hey,
10 points to Team Monager. Hey, he's high too.
So
Underdeveloped.
underdeveloped. I don't know.
he's not qualified any of this. He's just said it's true.
To
So.
inflate it.
Yeah, it's like they're underdeveloped, but the thing of it is, it's like, do we really want to spend a whole movie developing like a whole bunch, like his entire class, when they're not like the entire focal point? I mean, just a couple of them are, but every single
all
one
the
of them? I
standard
don't know.
questions come in. It's like, okay, so how many of them were supposed to be developed, and to what degree that satisfies you? It's just, you know, questions that you can't really answer definitively.
Wolf,
Exactly.
how do you have 300 unread books? Well, I have a very horrible disease. It's called impulsive book buying disorder, where I go to the bookstore and I see a book that looks good, and I'm like, I have two choices. I can either put that on my Amazon wish list and save money, or I can buy it right now because I'm too lazy to go on Amazon and put that on my wish list. And then I come home and I have to rearrange my bookshelf, and then I have 300 books that I have yet to read. Probably less than, no, I have like 460 something on books, and I've read like 160 of them. Yeah, something like that.
I honestly
Well,
wish I had the drive to read as much as you.
Dude, reading is like the thing that I've done like my whole life, because I never really had friends growing up and I was really depressed and shit. So I read books to ignore life, and it was really great. And that's why I like to read, and that's why I like to write too, because then I could just ignore the world. It's really great. It's actually really helpful. Same with video games and movies. Well, actually not movies anymore. Movies are starting to suck.
They all.
Movies are pretty bad lately, yeah.
underdeveloped
Movie.
kids
Not
and a
anymore.
villain whose motivation is based entirely around Tony Stark. But this time, it's in Europe. Yay! Honestly, guys, the entire time I was watching, I felt like this film was fighting with itself about what it wanted to be. Does it want to be a teen summer vacation flick with Spider-Man? Does it want to be a story about Peter dealing with the death of a mentor?
What, those two things can't happen at the same time?
Yeah.
Are they just like mutually exclusive?
Does it want to be a classic Spider-Man story about Peter wanting to just be Peter Parker, but having the responsibility of being Spider-Man?
Yeah, that happens in the film too. Okay, so if I just take a film and I talk about 3 different things that happen in it, and I'd be like, what does this film want to be? What are these 3 things? I don't know. Stupid. Done.
Oh, pick one. You can't pick 2. You can't have them all.
It wants to be so many things that it never has time to develop any of those stories and ideas.
You mean the Iron Man
thing
Peter
that is-
Parker story comes full fruition is the high school sort of dating thing with MJ that comes full head. Like, how are these stories not completed? You know?
Yeah, and it kind of feels like there's only two stories to worry about. He's got his trip, and then he's got his Spider-Man life, and they're both kind of colliding in the same thing. It doesn't seem like there's that.
And then there's like dealing with Iron Man on top of that, but that's more of a emotional state thing that applies to both of these journeys.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
but it doesn't have to dedicate a whole plot line to it.
Was wondering, since you've read the Wheel of Time series, who your favorite character was out of the main characters. I've only read first 3 books, and New Spring was kind of worthless because nothing really happened in it. And I'm about like a fourth of the way through book 4. But my favorite characters are Matt, because he's funny, and Tom, because he's cool. There we go.
All right.
Cool.
Forget the fact that this is a bad Spider-Man movie. God, I can't believe I started that meme. I went in fully expecting it to be a different take on the character that I'm obviously not a fan of thus far. I figured this would be a sequel to Homecoming and a sequel to this particular vision of Spidey. But what I didn't expect, what caught me completely off guard, was how completely inconsistent with that vision Far From Home was.
Dude,
Peter Parker
before we go on, I want to tell the chat the funny story I was telling you the other day. So chat, the other day I had this weird dream, and Mueller was having weird dreams too. He was having dreams about killing people and like hiding the body because he was guilty for it or something.
Why would that be a weird dream?
Seems pretty normal to me.
Yeah, that's something that seems pretty normal. So I had a weird dream, and this dream is so crazy. So basically, I dreamed that no one actually hated Spider-Man Homecoming. Everyone actually loved it, and that this was all a conspiracy to make sure that Molly was good at arguing. And then I woke up and I was like, no, wait, Spider-Man really is a bad movie.
Yes.
That sucks. That was my dream. I didn't kill people.
Have you tried the first 5 Temeraire books, Wolf?
You said you wanted a good dragon protagonist. Try the first What? How is that? I don't know what that word is.
Temeraire. That's obviously a word. That's probably some kind of species in Lord of the Rings.
Temeraire series. Ooh, that looks promising. His Majesty's Dragon is that what it is? By Naomi Novik. Oh, it's by a woman. I don't care.
Far From Home was. Peter Parker in this film trusts Mysterio with Tony's final gift to him after having 2 conversations with Beck. He not only gives Mysterio something that should mean the world to him, he gives Mysterio the glasses that have the power to literally control the world after knowing him for less than 2 days and 20.
I will agree that did bug me a bit. Like how things
it actually
move.
used to bug me, and then I thought about it for a long time, and I was like, I don't know, it actually kind of makes sense. So he's grieving because he's lost the father figure, the guy who died to save the world. He's also got the pressure of becoming that guy himself. He's also got the pressure of realizing that he's not the right person to have that level of power, accentuated by that bus scene. And then along comes this guy who's extremely kind, wise, has lost almost everything, and is fueled entirely by protecting people as a result. This guy sacrifices himself to save Peter's planet, but narrowly survives it, unlike a certain other mentor he had, and then just gives him real talk twice in the film. And it's like, if Peter's not supposed to have the glasses, who should have them? And it's like, well, not Nick Fury, for the reasons he gave. I think he said something like, you would probably like go crazy and weaponize them and stuff. Like, well, this guy's willing to die to protect Earth. He's got this like wiseness to him, and he's very pragmatic and kind. It's like, yeah, this guy probably knows what's best to do with these things. Certainly better than me. Like, it passes for me. Like, and this is the part of him being naive. He's just like, yeah, I'm convinced, and considering he's an actor and an illusionist, it would also follow that he could trick Peter.
Yeah, to a
Dude.
certain degree, I would agree with that. But then came like from Peter's side, like yeah, with the world on his shoulders, I can see him making a bit of a rash decision like that. But then the problem I have comes from the fact that like Mysterio, that was part of his plan to get the glasses from him. But at the same time, Mysterio at no point made any sort of suggestion that he was trying to get those glasses from him. He didn't say, "You mind if I try them on?" Ooh,
Interesting though,
like that.
but if you remember, Peter's lost them, and someone provides him the glasses. Like, oh, you dropped these. And he's like, oh, are those the Edith glasses? As if he has no idea, but it's probably him that organized the glasses being given back to Peter. Like, that person worked for him.
Dude. Guys, there is a comment in the chat that said that Peter doesn't care about dead people. It's a character trait.
What?
It's part of his character. It's totally in line
To
with his
not
character.
care about dead people.
Yeah, when people die, he's like, okay.
All right.
That was,
But,
that was good observation.
But yeah, I don't know. He made quite the elaborate plan, and it just kind of didn't seem convincing enough to me that he was trying to make the glasses, his own. I feel like maybe they made him not ask so much to maybe make the twist a little more impactful, maybe. But that would be, assuming something that I'm not entirely in possession of enough info on. So
I'd like them
I
to
don't
have had more time. I think would have been preferable. Maybe involve some of that, but there's definitely a lot of reasoning for why Peter would have done what he did. And a lot of it was sort of I didn't even catch on my first run through. I was just thinking about it. I was like, why would he? And especially when they have those shots where he puts on the glasses and he just looks at him, and Peter gets this sense of just like, oh fuck, it's like Tony.
Yeah, I guess I would have liked to see Quentin maybe ask for the glasses at least once, and then make it seem like, okay, now he's definitely trying to get them, rather than like, oh, perfect. I psychologically knew this teenager enough that I knew he would give me the glasses with enough slideshows.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would probably benefit from being over a longer period of time. I actually was talking to Fringy about how I would have maybe liked the idea of having Mysterio be a good guy in this film, and then he's revealed in the second, and like it's a different villain for this film, and he gets to know Peter, from this one to that one.
I don't know. I feel like they used. I feel like they used the time.
Oh, I'm not saying it would be better. I'm just saying it would be interesting as a sort of exploration. I mean, I'm pretty biased right now because I really like Hero Mysterio. I quite liked him.
Although
he was a nice.
He liked his bubble helmet.
I did like his fish tank helmet. Fish bowl.
Now, is it just me, or was his mouth like really long to
what?
Quentin's mouth. It
long
was
mouth
like
bad.
Long horizontally.
Wait. Halt, I say. When you say Quentin, do you mean Quentin reviews, right?
No.
That might just be his unibrow you're looking at, mistaking for a mouth.
No. No, I assure you. I double checked. No, Quentin Beck is the guy's name.
Gillen Hall mouth. Google images.
But when he was when he was in the movie, his mouth was really horizontally long to me.
Okay.
I don't know if that's just maybe
I would hope it's not vertically long. That would be very disturbing.
We're entering into nightmare fuel at that point.
Look, I'm looking at pictures of his mouth, and it looks like a perfectly respectable length.
Perfectly respectable mouth.
Knowing him for less than 2 days and 20 minutes of screen time. Peter Parker in this film all of a sudden has a crush on MJ after paying no attention to her in Homecoming. I guess he came back from the dead, witnessed the death of his idol, and now he wants to get romantic with a girl he barely knows.
Okay, so it's been 8 months since that, and I don't know, do you guys want to, we can do this all day. Do you want to talk about what is required for a 16-year-old boy to gain a crush? Should we go over the extremely long list of things that have to be ticked?
Boy, it really doesn't take much when you're in high school.
No. It takes a long amount of getting to know them. It needs a stable job, respectable friends. They need a car. They need to be driving. Parents who are very responsible, live in a nice place. Like, these are all very important aspects. When you're a 16-year-old boy, you really need like to be very careful and selective. You don't just develop a crush on somebody. That's not.
Yeah, look, dude, when I was 16, I was worried about my 401k plan. I don't know about you. Probably because you don't have that, because you live in
802k. Ours is like yours, but double is better.
I mean, to be honest with you, I was a little bothered at the fact that they started the movie and he had developed a crush on MJ like off screen. It kind of felt like it was an obligation. It was like MJ in particular. It's like
it looks like she doesn't shower.
Because
I was more concerned about
Homecoming.
getting a reason for why they would work together, which is what this movie seems to be. Why he has a crush on her, I don't really need much reasoning for that.
Yeah. I guess it was just kind of the off-screen aspect that bugged me a bit. It's like, oh, it would be kind of weird. It's like there was just some other girl. Like, what about that gal that I'm really blanking on names. It's late. His fatty friend.
You called him a gal.
Wait, what are you suggesting? That he should date Ned? Is that what you're suggesting?
No. I'm saying that gal that Ned was with. Is like, that would be really funny if it's like, if at the end of Homecoming it's like, oh, this is MJ, she's a new student, and then all of a sudden Peter shows up in the next movie and says, hey, I got a crush on that white girl, you know. I forget her name again, I'm sorry.
Oh, Betty.
Betty, right. He just shows up one day and says, I got a crush on Betty, man, you gotta fucking get me in there. It's like, wait, why? Why do you have a crush on Betty all of a sudden? What did she do to get your interest like that? Her in particular, you know?
You just want a reason for a kid to have a crush on a girl.
I maybe wanted to maybe be introduced just a little more on why he's choosing her in particular.
Yeah, I guess we could have had, like, I'm not sure how you'd fit this in. I guess it needs to be in Homecoming, but just a scene where he gives her a look of like, huh, I'm kind of interested in this person. Would that be good enough?
I feel like maybe during the trip he can develop the crush rather than have it immediately. Yeah, it could work.
I don't know, see, because I guess my position is like, we're skipping to the part that's more interesting, where he's trying to court it, rather than what made him think, hey, she's cute.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's certainly a time saver when you have a crush on her already, but I feel like it maybe would have been more natural if he had developed it along the trip.
I think that's fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
And go on a vacation. This is Mary Jane we are talking about, or Michelle Jones. Either way, she is the love of Peter Parker's life.
Okay, chill out. I mean, we don't even know that's what they're gonna do, and even if they did do that, why would the love of your life have to start in any way other than a crush that's simple as, hey, I think she's cute? Like I said, why would you?
Yeah.
Couldn't it just evolve from there?
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
The love of Master Chief's life is literally a hologram, which is more than
Don't hologram shame, Wolf.
Oh.
And I will never forgive this film for not caring enough to develop it. Sure.
Well, this film is developing it. It's all the scenes in this film with those two is. It's actually like pretty well portrayed as far as I can tell, in terms of a budding romance between two teen-arinos. What did you think, Wolf? Did you believe their romance, or did you hate it, find it boring, and vomit on the screen?
What?
Take that as the latter. Okay.
I believe they had a decent level of chemistry. They were both a little awkward.
She was funny. She's got my sense of humor, but that's because I have Asperger's and I'm stupid.
Sure, it's cute. It's awkward. Zendaya and Tom Holland have some very nice chemistry, but that's all there is to it. It seems like a high school crush that came out of nowhere.
I think it was a high school crush that came out of nowhere. I must be weird on this. Like, I don't necessarily think that you need to have a high school crush be developed so significantly.
I feel like it doesn't need to be developed very strongly. I think we just need to kind of see the spark, the spark at first that got him interested in that person in particular. It doesn't have to be a very strong spark, like he researched her or anything like that. But rather than just a look,
he researched
love at first sight.
Googled it.
He doesn't need to Google her or nothing. I feel like maybe there just needs to be a spark. We need to see it, and then we can get it going from there.
The spark that falls on the oil spill that causes the explosion. that kills many.
Wow.
Kills Finny.
That,
All
that-
for MJ.
That got dark at some point. I couldn't pinpoint it exactly.
Homecoming, MJ obviously teased Peter because she liked him. They could have turned that teasing and frenemy relationship into a real friendship. They could have taken their time over the course of a couple films and got me to want them to end up together. But Far From Home doesn't have the time for that.
Someone said she's as developed as a 3-month-old miscarriage.
Oh my.
Whoa.
Yeah, again, I would argue that this film is developing their relationship. That's what I thought would make their relationship more meaningful, was seeing how they interact and what they like about each other and stuff like that. But
Instead, we start the film and Peter has this big plan to win MJ over. They introduce this character named, I don't know what his name was, and have this very unnecessary love triangle that has the emotional depth of an episode of Hannah Montana.
Uh-oh, copyright.
I paused.
Okay. After hearing that, I think that made me sober, and I want to go to bed now.
It's okay, Wolf. You
Hi,
did
Top.
well.
Hi, Top.
You
If you
stuck
just
it
start
out
off-
halfway.
If you start off every video with that song, then trust me, I will never watch another one of your videos. Well, no, you did it once. I'm never going to watch another one of your videos again. If you just keep doing it, then nobody will. Which is probably the best possible thing you can do.
I can't believe you're treating him this way. This film broke his heart, dude.
Wolf, he was kind, he was smart, he was important. That's a quote from that race movie, isn't it? About the black people that work as maids or something, and they're treated badly, and one makes a shit cake or something.
Shit cake.
I would have preferred something from a good movie personally, but I guess that's something.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna go to bed now.
Hi,
It
dude.
has been a pleasure enjoying the tisms.
Mm-hmm.
I will not
Hope
be
you
on
don't
the
come
next
back with
Eve.
hope you don't come back regretting anything you've said while you're high.
Well, this went marginally better than the April Fool's stream.
True.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to have missed that.
No, I'm ashamed to have streamed that. So yeah. I will not be on the next EFAP. I am making a video that short. It's really not going to be short unless you think an hour is short, which if you're watching the show, you probably do think an hour is short. And then I'm working on another 3 hours. And I don't know what I was even thinking right there. I'm really tired. What happened with the April Fool's stream? I might have proposed to Mahler and asked him to have sex with me multiple times. So, just nothing serious.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Boy. He's a good kid.
You're gonna do just fine. Gonna be. As for
He's gonna
the
go places.
the Hannah Montana love triangle thing, I don't know. I not only did I like them two together, and I liked the conversation I remember more specifically is the one where she's like, I was just looking at you because I thought you were Spider-Man, and he's like gutted to hear it because he thought that she actually liked him, or there was a chance of that, and there's like, oh no. And there's like a back
Yeah.
and forth until it's rescued a bit more. The seat swapping in the plane, it's one of those like really unfortunate sort of, you're trying to get access to the person you're interested in, and then it like backfires, and
Your teacher's a dork.
and I don't know if I'd call it, is it a love triangle when she was never interested in the guy whatsoever and he was just kind of like an ass?
Yeah, I wouldn't really call it that. It seems to me a love triangle is three parties all interested in each.
I'd have to look it up. I can't remember actually, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was better than this is being portrayed as, but perhaps I need to give it a second look and really give a critical eye.
Yeah, imagine this, just for lack of a better word.
Why did he have to put this track in here? I don't know, man. Why do you have to taint EFAP with this track?
Peter Parker in this film is told to step up and be the next Iron Man.
What in the world?
Well, hello.
I think it's horrible, and it's a travesty that you're defending it.
Wait, Far From Home? Hello?
Well, I have no idea.
You have no idea. Okay.
Well, okay. We're watching concentration camp videos. Are you sure you want to join?
Well, I saw there was only 2 of you guys, and I felt that's not there needs to be more people. So in the stream, and so if you don't mind some background noise of the kids now and then, I think I can join in for the remainder. We'll see.
Well, there is a link to the. We're halfway through a video breaking down Far From Home.
Yeah, I've been trying to watch while you guys are still streaming and stuff, just sorting out the kids and everything, and getting them settled a bit and stuff, and so.
Well, it's lovely to have
I've
you
been
back.
watching some of it. Yeah, well, thanks. I hope you don't mind me just crashing the party.
Absolutely not. It's a breath of not necessarily fresh, but important air.
Oh, well, thank you.
We're making pretty good progress on this, though.
We are. I think it's because there's 2 of us. A crazy hybrid who's now God, but we got 3 now, boys.
Peter Parker in this film is told to step up and be the next Iron Man, and then he's told that he just needs to be the next Spider-Man. He just needs to be himself, which is pretty much what he learned in Homecoming, but then they blast AC/DC as Peter is making his new high-tech suit looking just like Tony Stark did. If his arc is supposed to be your own man, then stick with that. Don't tell us one thing and show us another.
So, creating his own suit, but in the same vein as Iron Man was creating his suit back in the first film, I suppose you can take that way. I would have taken it the way of he's inspired and taking a piece of Iron Man along with him while he, is going his own way. I don't know, there's definitely a father-son aspect to it that I suppose many people would just find to be almost like lame, because it's like Peter having to borrow Iron Man's moment instead of being a sort of poetry it rhymes sort of moment.
Yeah, and it's not really that much of a stretch to think that Peter knows how to use this stuff anyway. I mean, he was mentored by Stark. He's probably seen how he works it and everything, so too bug butt.
So, what would you say the movie is trying to say in regards to this? Like, do you think that it is one or the other, that the movie is trying to establish him as the next Iron Man, or to be his own Spider-Man? What's your thoughts?
To me, I feel like it establishes him as somebody who is actually ready to, take on the responsibilities. At first, he was really struggling with it, but now he's like ready to go. He's making a plan. He's getting a suit ready, and he's just kind of doing it in natural action, not thinking too much about, I'm taking up the mantle of Iron Man. He's just thinking of the duty he has to do in terms of saving his friends, and he'll do that by any means necessary.
Yeah.
I see it as he's striking out. He doesn't have anyone hovering over him. He's making his own suit. He's going to have in it what he thinks he needs, and then he's going to go do it himself.
And Happy is asking him, what's the plan? Now he's being leaned upon, and he's ready to act.
And the whole he'll call you to Nick Fury as well.
Exactly.
So you don't think there's a contradiction in what they're saying and then what they're showing in this section the guy's bringing up?
So would that be that he's his own superhero, and yet he's using an Iron Man related sort of system with Iron Man's music in an Iron Man sort of stance, and therefore he's not his own?
like are they showing him to be the next Iron Man? I wouldn't say that they're setting him up to be the next Iron Man based on the end credit scenes here. That would kind of conflict a bit with trying to fill that role that Iron Man filled. So maybe I think his point here is ultimately contradicted by the ending of the film, that he can't be the next Iron Man as a result.
Yeah, and not to mention, he doesn't even make like an Iron Man based suit. He makes it very in the same vein as like the Spidey suit that he grew up with.
Yeah, he does. Assuming he has the choice to have iron, he definitely chooses against it.
Like booster rockets and shit. No.
Well, I don't think he had the option to choose the full Iron Spider get up in that scene. I mean, if he did, we've already kind of said that was a bit dumb.
It would have been more practical, yeah.
Yeah, like holy crap, yeah, having plated armor against these drones would be very useful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but nope, he got up a suit that he was familiar with when he was growing up in Homecoming. So
Yeah, he
I
got
think
the taser webs.
That says he wants to be more like Spider-Man. Yeah, he used taser webs in the middle of the hollow thing.
Yeah, but I mean, he's had the iron suit for a bit, and is obviously getting pretty familiar with it.
I imagine that's a symbolic representation of shedding the identity of being Iron Man's ward / mentored.
Oh, I don't know. If he had the option and he chose not to, it's just dumb.
I'm not referring to that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm more referring to, we see him in the, well, I mean, we only see him for a few seconds at the beginning. I guess it was a deleted scene, we would have seen him more. But the idea that he's wearing that in the beginning, and then by the end, across his journey, he also happens to not be wearing the Iron Man spider suit anymore. Which, by the way, they said, did I ever get to ask you about this, Chad? They said that Spider-Man would never accept an Iron Spider suit off Iron Man. That's what they said in the EFAP debate, and people always reference Civil War.
Yeah, see, he did get an Iron Spider suit at one point. I can't remember exactly what happened with it, but I think just logically, even just trying to be realistic, if Peter Parker wants to achieve the most good possible and is offered this great tool that will help him, which will enable him to save even more lives because he has access to better tech, I think, of course, he would accept it. I think you'd have to go through some pretty convoluted loops to try and get to the point where he would say no. And perhaps you could pull it off, like, I don't know, if similar reasons why Batman doesn't use guns, because he is emotionally scarred. If you set something like that up where he just doesn't like the tech, I don't know, something.
Yeah.
It's possible, but again, without that.
I'm maintaining, and I might be wrong about this, I don't even know for sure, but I'm maintaining that he couldn't use the iron suit in the airplane. It's just a matter of, if you look at the events of the film and you draw that he was wearing the Iron Spider suit, and then he goes on this journey and he also happens to not be wearing the Iron Spider suit anymore, it's a representation of the journey, that's all. It's not an actual mechanical one, because he didn't, I'm assuming you would have picked the Iron Man suit. I think anybody would if they're fighting against bullets.
Yeah, he damn well better have if it was available. Otherwise,
you'll be making a video.
Intelligence, it just got even worse. But anyway,
I can't be invested in something that the writers don't seem sure of. The truth is, I can't be invested in any of this. I had hopes for Mysterio. I love myself some Jake. But Mysterio's motivation, like Vulture's, has nothing to do with Peter. There are no
Nothing to do with Peter?
Isn't it like, you'd argue, it's quite focused on Peter because he needs those glasses?
Yeah, he's very focused on Peter. He came to him twice to talk to him and have this heart-to-heart and everything.
Yeah, I mean, in that sense, yes, but the motivations, there's nowhere near as strong a personal connection and rivalry or even menace that is comparable to the Vulture.
Yeah, not quite as strong, sure, but his focus was definitely on Peter.
I mean, is Vulture necessarily his motivation connected to Peter?
I mean, no, not the motivation, what he's doing, but in terms of their conflict, it's a very personal conflict.
Sure. Wouldn't you say this one's pretty personal, though, as soon as he finds out that Mysterio's lied to him?
Oh, well, maybe. I mean, Mysterio's main issue with Peter Parker is that you're getting in my way, ergo, I want to kill you.
No, you're right.
Now.
I mean, the conflict in the film becomes extremely personal, right? Because it's like, you tricked me and now you're hitting people with the thing I was entrusted with, you bum.
Now you're going to kill my classmates.
I do not liketh you.
I don't know. I think the stronger emotion is, holy crap, I stuffed up so majorly. I really need to fix this and stop this guy. Otherwise, dead lives are on my head. But yeah, I'd say he'd probably still be a bit peeved that he was duped so easily, maybe. I was hearing your argument that you don't think it was as easy. I don't like the fact he gave him the glasses. Yeah.
Not at that rate, no, I agree.
Oh, yeah. My opinion is anyone with 2 brain cells would, only pass on those glasses after some very serious, long, drawn-out, considered thought and everything like that. And even if you are liking this guy and is, doing things to, gain your trust, it's way too soon to dress such a pivotal kind of thing upon him Like any person would take a longer time to make that decision, I reckon, if they were smart. I think it strikes me as a dumb thing. Yeah.
Apparently, they want. There's people in chat want me to dress. Peter, you don't need to be Iron Man. No one can be Iron Man. And then Peter builds a suit just like Tony while listening to AC/DC, performing the same mannerisms. Why is that a contradiction? Do you think it's just to be Iron Man, it's as superficial as building a suit with AC/DC on?
Well, I mean, in terms of how films offer cues to indicate certain directions, I'd say that's a pretty strong one.
Yeah, but
you know,
he's also mentored by him, so it's easily you can also go just as easily in the interpretation that it's Peter keeping a part of Iron Man with him.
Yeah, the other interpretation is that in being the next Spider-Man, he wants to take some of the Iron Man with him as a benefit or something. And I can't believe I'm defending Far From Home, but yeah, maybe that's a way to look at it. That the future Spider-Man can carry some of the positive influences Iron Man has given him forward, and that scene in where he's got the Iron Man music, and because the other thing is interesting, like this does set up a situation where Peter does make his own suit, and it is as good as the one that Iron Man gave him because he's using Iron Man tech, but it explains in a decently good way how Peter Parker is able to make his own suit and have it look so good without being a master seamster.
Yeah.
No. We've established it's semen.
It's definitely such an effective semen.
Yes, exactly.
It's not a plot hole, but it weakens the argument. How would it? What? So like,
what argument specifically?
I guess that he's like Iron Man. It's just like him and Iron Man are on totally different journeys, performing totally different roles in this universe.
I mean, my opinion is generally, and I'm not saying they executed it well in this film, but I think you could have Spider-Man be influenced in a positive way by external characters, including Iron Man, and not undermine the core of what the character is. There are some, concerns about the Iron Man influence, and I was talking about that with having access to the glasses and having such a powerful, tool at his disposal really hamstrings some of the conflict that you can give him if you want to have him challenged properly with the villains he faces in the future. And so if you want to have good conflict in Spider-Man stories going forward, you need to remove the glasses somehow, because
I agree, actually. I do agree.
Yeah, that breaks too much. Yeah.
Personal stakes. They try to make me care about his relationship to Peter, but spend no time developing it. Holland and Gyllenhaal have some really nice chemistry, but that can only get you so far. Quentin Beck's motivation is all about Tony, and that's just, dare I say it, lazy? Gyllenhaal does the best and has a lot of fun with what he's given, but he's given so little. It's not like it's a surprise that he's the bad guy. Everybody who has picked up a Spider-Man comic or seen a Spider-Man flick knows that he's going to go bad at some point.
That's tertiary information, though. I never read the comics, so I didn't know that. But
was it a twist for you? I'm just interested. How did the twist come off as unexpected? Because it was impossible for me to experience that because I knew of the character already.
There was some doubt in the back of my mind. I mean, yeah, I did get twisted. But there was some doubt in the back of my mind. It was kind of weird how he was getting really buddy with Peter so soon, and then how weirdly anticlimactic that fire guy battle was. Like, oh, okay, you flew in and you exploded the guy and no consequences, good to go. And then
if it wasn't for it being an illusion, I would be thinking, how the hell did he do that and what are his powers? But because it's an illusion, yeah, it's like.
And another thing that I missed when Spidey webbed Fireman and he pulled out a projector, at first, I had looked away for a moment. I thought he lost his web shooter because yeah. So that was just me not really paying too much attention. I think I might have gotten more doubt if I was paying just a little more attention and realized he pulled it from the monster. But yeah, but when he does reveal that his plan was to get the glasses and everything like that, I'm all like, huh. I would have believed this working out better if he had at least asked for the glasses some more. Oh, what if I did it? I'm a responsible dude. Well, something like that. I don't know. Maybe
I imagine that would be too much of a reach, though, right? He's trying to get Peter to do it on his own. Because like the benefit is to be like, whoa, I don't want these. Like, no way. And then he just gives them to him, and he's like, oh, well, yeah, okay. You know, he doesn't want to push him way too hard.
All part of my point. But I feel like he kind of needed to understand Peter for a lengthier amount of time than he did in order to understand that was what Peter would do. And that's where things got just a little weird for me. It felt like they did what they did to make the twist just hit a little harder to me. But yeah. So yeah, I did get twisted. It was interesting.
Yeah, there's a degree of people that will, because I think it's safe to say there's a lot of people who don't even know who Mysterio is previous to this movie, because he hasn't been in the Raimi or the other Sony ones. So
again, like I understood that he was a bad guy, but I'm not really entirely sure why I got twisted up.
Oh, you knew he was a bad guy, but you still got twisted?
Well, he was talking about like alternate universes in which I groaned super goddamn hard. I honestly I thought he was going to be like, oh, this must be good guy Mysterio because he's an alternate timeline Mysterio. Turns out he was lying, so I'm like, oh shit, subversion.
So if I'm not connected to him, if I can't see his point and I can't feel his connection to Peter, then why am I supposed to care? Because he got fucked over by Tony Stark? That would maybe work if either of the films critiqued Tony Stark's actions, but they don't.
Critiqued Tony Stark's actions. I mean, I guess I'm confused about the whole like caring about Mysterio. I don't think we're supposed to think that what he is doing is like a reasonable thing. Like what he's doing is kind of nutbally. Well, like, if you're going to compare him to Vulture, it's like, yeah, you can care about Vulture because his fundamental thing is trying to protect his family or provide for them. And he's kind of Robin Hood in it, trying to take from people who won't even, like, maybe even experience the loss. So there's definitely, you could see yourself one day, maybe, falling into that position. But Mysterio's is like, yeah, he got his life's work stolen, but he's still... the madness element of his character has to be there in order for him to take the next few steps. So all of us are like, oh, well, I wouldn't go mad.
Well, that's why one of the reasons why I didn't like him. He was just evil for the sake of being evil. I don't think his reaction was proportional or realistic from, and it was his life work wasn't even really stolen. It was Tony Stark gave him the millions of money to fund his, live stream and everything like that. So he got to achieve it. He just didn't get the recognition he wanted from it, or the tech. Like, what did he want the tech to do? Because did he then get annoyed that Tony Stark shelved it and didn't?
I guess he always wanted to do the illusion stuff, or I can't remember what he says.
Yeah, I could just. Yeah, there was.
Because he's like insulted that it's used for therapy, right? He's like, he used it for therapy.
And he has. Like, if you're a decent person, you would think that's not a terrible thing. What did he want it to be used for? And so it's like he already starts sociopathic and evil because that's what villains need to be, and so he is not very satisfying.
Well, he pales to Vulture. I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
With Vulture, you could at least empathize a tad, but with Mysterio, he's nothing more to me than a by-the-book villain. There is one standout visual sequence where Peter gets knocked around in a Mysterio acid trip, but it's seemingly all done in a computer. No practical effects. Nothing tangible for me to grab onto.
Wait.
The lack of practical effects isn't... I don't think that's too fair to say that therefore makes the scene bad. In fact, I think the use of CGI is almost needed to have a good, portrayal of the illusion and stuff like that. My issue with the illusions there seem to be so reactionary to what Peter is doing that I mentioned this to Maul. The only way that they could be modified on the fly in such a natural way in response to Peter's actions is if there's some really advanced program reprogramming and rendering and making these illusions on the fly, which seems to be contradicted quite strongly about the setup and practice that we're doing in with the rock monster illusion. It seemed like to make these work required a lot of manual input, and that's contradicted by that scene in my mind.
One could argue that now that he has the glasses, he has those kinds of resources.
He did have the glass at that point, didn't he?
Mhm.
But I don't know, like again, the drones there's no indication there's no thing to indicate that these drones are any different to the ones he was using previously, and they established that to make these illusions takes a fair bit of manual input and design to make it all work, come across realistically and stuff. And so as soon as you throw that into a situation where you want these illusions to respond to what a person is doing that you can't perfectly predict, I mean, what if Spider-Man just simply, instead of walking left, he will walk right and just walked outside of the illusion? And so, okay, maybe he can direct the positioning of them, but a lot of what Peter is experiencing seemed very responsitory to what Peter's actions were.
Yeah, I mean, like a gyroscope, it might be that the drones do have a basic sort of understanding of whatever movement Peter has, they have a equal and opposite reaction to make sure they maintain the illusion. I can't imagine it not being that way.
Did he time it with the train, or was he just really lucky the train happened to be coming at that time and he decided let's get him near the tracks? Just because...
I'm assuming he always knew the train was gonna come.
But then how did he know Spider-Man was gonna get there? Because he went in the car with and so still
it's probably more than one. It's like a bullet train, right? It's probably more than one every so often.
They've already established that he was no problem having the drone shoot him. So I imagine if the train wasn't going to come, he was probably just going to shoot him dead anyway. But then the train hits him, is like, that works.
And it cleans up the body too.
Okay.
Not really,
so
but you know.
The point of that fight scene, from Mysterio's point of view, was to find out who knew about the drones. Was that it?
Yeah.
And that's why he's posed as Fury, to get Peter to tell him, because he says who knows about him and stuff, and then Peter tells him, is like, oh, you're an idiot, blah blah, and let it kill. Okay, so all right, I would say that's a good plan to try and get the information you want from someone by posing as an ally.
What did you think of the scene itself? Like, what the visuals? I mean,
I love the visuals. Like, in terms of the most Mysterio, scene where the powers, the way Mysterio's fighting felt so distinctly Mysterio-like. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That scene, really captured the Mysterio.
I could be wrong, but the part where he's like, there's statues everywhere. I'm pretty sure there's an Iron Man, a Cap, and a Black Widow statue. They're all like filling the floor, sort of thing. They're all cracked and broken on the floor, and then the one that's standing tall is the Mysterio one. And I was just like, oh, this is so awesome. I was like, it's just, it's so haunting. It's so much fun.
In a computer, no practical effects, nothing tangible for me to grab onto.
I really don't get the practical effects argument when you're dealing with.
No, I don't get that one. Yeah.
This is more of a personal issue I have with a lot of MCU films, especially in recent years. They make these things so quickly that a lot of the time practical stunt work and choreographed fight scenes are instead replaced with action pieces all done in post. And yeah, these visual effects are really creative and the sequences are cool, but call me an old man, I just prefer the real deal.
No, I don't have a problem with that
That's a subjective opinion, though. Like, he prefers, practical effects. That's fine, but doesn't mean that the movie is lesser.
I love me some practical stuff too, but I don't know that it would have worked in the way of convincing us that this is a functioning illusion that's changed. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's a holographic acid trip.
You could say
all that Doctor Strange effect.
That it's like he's generating computer images in their world, so to see computer generated images on our end would make the most sense. I don't know. That seems like they made the right choice, if they had a choice. They probably wouldn't have done practical anyway, but
Outside of that one sequence, though, this movie has no overt visual style or flair, which shocked the hell out of me because the same person who shot Far From Home shot some very beautiful and artful episodes of Daredevil. Far From Home brings back a final swing of sorts, but it's nothing that we haven't seen done with more gravitas and more elegance in previous Spider-Man films. In the Raimi films, in Spider-Verse, even in the first Amazing Spider-Man film, the final swing was a triumphant, heroic, and sometimes haunting note to end the films on. It was a celebration of...
Wouldn't you say that about this one, though? The haunting note being that he's public enemy number one?
Oh, no, I think this is a nitpicky thing, but I did miss the awesome visual of Spider-Man swinging through the city as a more constant element of the movie. Like a lot of it was absent because he wasn't in New York and there wasn't a lot of buildings to swing on and stuff. That's just fun to watch, and you do miss it when it's not there. So if that's what it's referring to, I get it.
Well, and
I honestly do wish.
just quickly, modification mentioned in chat is you remember he like recolors his suit to the from the black to the red during that scene, so the drones probably are like constantly mapping exactly where Peter's moving, because they'd have to maintain that illusion on him, if you know what I mean, the black to red.
What black to red?
So like he's in his night monkey suit, and then right at the beginning of like the illusion starting up, Mysterio recolors Spider-Man to his red. Do you remember?
Is he? I can't remember. Like I couldn't remember what suit he's wearing. Like,
and then
if he's in his, okay,
if you're, I just remembered as well when they're highlighting the fact that one of the drones is missing. He shakes his hand and he's like, "What's going on here?" You know, because it's like not able to stay with his hand because one of the drones is missing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they do bind themselves to the.
So there's a certain level of automatic rendering.
Yeah, as much as you might be like, "Wow, that's pretty amazing technology," I'd be like, "Yeah," but you know, they're saying that that's the case, I guess.
Iron Man suit is pretty amazing as well. So.
A Peter's growth and a Miles' growth. This Peter doesn't grow. He doesn't really change. So his final swing feels so soulless to me.
I think even if you didn't like the change, you'd say he changed, right?
No, absolutely.
Or could you say he just reaches the same point in where he was at the end of Homecoming?
To a certain degree, but like he's becoming just a little more comfortable with the fact that he's got these responsibilities on his shoulders, and he does manage to get MJ, and it fills him with, you know, a greater level of confidence because he did what he set out to do. And after that was off his shoulders, you know, he was able to concentrate just a little bit more, and then he was able to work out the Iron Man stuff to get his suit going. He hatches a plan.
But then what elements does he have as an improvement or difference from far from at the end of Homecoming? I mean,
He has far less weight on his shoulders over the whole Tony Stark.
Yeah, I would say he's gotten over, or at least he's, instead of grieving for Tony, he's absorbed Tony in, like he's keeping him with him.
Well, that's a bit different because that's addressing things that happen in Endgame, where he's not really grieving at the end of Far From Home. And so if he was comparing where Peter is at the end of, Homecoming, not Far From Home, where Peter is at the end of Homecoming compared to where he is at the end of this one, you don't see too much character progression. Like it feels like he has retread a lot of the issues you thought he would have already sorted out. Like if he's going to fully commit to this thing being Spider-Man, is he going to commit to the responsibility he has? And no matter what the threat that comes upon him, he will, you know, try and help people and not try and dodge the responsibility like he did in this film.
That would be my assumption, yeah. The problem is, yeah, we kind of need the third film to be able to definitively say, but my take would be, first one, he's like fully established as I'm going to be a hero for these reasons. This one, he's like, I'm going to be a hero for these reasons, and in these scenarios, I'm going to act.
Yeah, see, that's one of the additional reasons I didn't really like it. It feels like they're extending the origin story of Spider-Man into the point where he's supposed to be Spider-Man for 2 films already. And especially when he's trying to, like, it seems like he's needing to learn things that it seemed like either he had already learned or should have learned in the previous movie. Like, it comes across negatively to me because someone who you need to kind of pound the lesson into and they're not learning, like just it's like they're not picking it up, so it seems like a bit slower, or I don't know, it just doesn't come off it nearly as well as a result.
Well, in Homecoming, he was coming to grips with being Spider-Man and being an Avenger, but now he's coming to grips with having like Tony Stark's legacy on his shoulders, and he wasn't sure if he could do it anymore. Now he's sure of that, so he had a larger weight on his shoulders and he was able to adapt.
See, even then, I don't think that's because it says, you know, you don't need to be Iron Man, you need to be your own Spider-Man. It's not, Spider-Man. It's not that it's trying to, Spider-Man. Like, gosh, I'm tired, and I don't know.
I know that feeling. I know it. I've still got to do super chats.
Late for you. Yeah, we might
feels bad, man.
I feel sorry for you guys, but I was up unnaturally early, so I'm a bit tired as a result.
It's funny. We still got a Spider-Man.
Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, I forget now. I'm tired.
It's okay. Well, let's
Alright,
kick
we can just
on.
Continue.
Me. I hate being mean, I really do, but I wish John Watts would aim higher. By the end of the film, like Homecoming, I was so sick of medium shot, reverse shot. I was so sick of cutaway jokes. I was sick of Spider-Man's beautiful suit being painted over in post with CG. Look at this thing. Why would you want to touch that? It's perfect.
What?
I was sick.
What do they paint over?
I guess they would have done. They typically do CGI touch-ups, but I mean, it's. I don't know. That's kind of how I remember it in the film. I guess it might look different.
I didn't notice anything, but maybe he's got a keener eye than me.
Mm-hmm.
Sick of Tom Holland pouring his heart and soul into a film and into a role where the writing made it impossible for me to connect to Spider-Man, to Peter. I was sick of it all. Teenagers don't behave this way. They don't have the emotional maturity and empathy of 12-year-olds.
Oh, okay. Sorry. You're wrong.
That's interesting because my issue is that he was acting too much like a teenager.
Yeah. No.
He's so teenager. It's I don't know.
Which annoys me. Is like he's always been more mature and smarter and
Teenagers are
more
kind of
noble.
like, man, you can get a lot of. Yeah.
Like,
Teenagers can be really. They could just be really rash and really.
I mean,
dumb.
they're a good argument for why you shouldn't have kids. They're really annoying.
Because they'll eventually become teenagers.
I have 4, by the way.
Any of them teenagers? Have you, the dreaded?
Not
years?
yet, not
Oh,
yet.
yeah.
I'm in the golden age of their childhood at the moment. It's a pretty good time.
Enjoy it,
So,
Chad. Enjoy
Yeah,
it.
I know. I'll fill you in on how the teenagers go when it happens. I'll be ready to kill myself.
Freaking 20. Not too long ago, I was the age of these kids, and none of this feels real to me.
Oh man, I don't want to be like. Oh, okay. I don't know.
So that's a subjective opinion on.
He
his
didn't
own
experience these things, and I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I think sometimes things are taken to an extreme as a caricature, just to make it more impactful. Like, honestly, in the first, in Homecoming, where Flash is doing the whole penis Parker thing. Like, if that actually happened in a party and I saw someone doing that, I would have been, you're such a retard. What are you doing? Shut the hell up. Yeah, like someone would have, the fact that, bullying like that can go unchecked. I don't know, sometimes in some instances it does, but in my experience, usually someone would stand up to it.
I've been around some really shit bullies, like bullies where you're just like, wow, you need to work on your material.
Yeah, yeah. So again, that might be me drawing off my own subjective experience, having said that as well. So, yeah.
It feels like a 30-year-old's understanding of what it's like to be 16, 17. It's an idealized version of being a teenager. Ned starts dating, I guess this girl is Betty Brant. We really know nothing about her going in and know nothing about her going out. And the entire thing is this obnoxious running gag. I think it speaks volumes about where they want to take the character of Spider-Man in this universe when instead of fleshing out characters like Ned, Betty, Flash, key players in the Spider-Man canon, they are used for the sole purpose of getting a chuckle out of the audience. How can Peter Parker afford...
But the thing is, like, different characters get focused, I guess. Should those be focused because they're focused in the comics?
Flash doesn't get huge, characterization and attention and depth, depending on the different one. Like, there are some instances where it goes into some things and confrontations in Peter and Flash, like I'm remembering Ultimate Spider-Man comic book series and stuff. But it's never a huge amount. It is very much a background character there to serve as an antagonist in Peter's social life. So, yeah, I don't think it's necessary that... I'm not saying it wouldn't be an improvement but that also means you've got to devote more time to explore these secondary minor characters in which at the time might have been served much more efficiently, focusing on things more important. So, yeah.
Potentially.
I do gotta agree with him about Betty, though. She just kind of seemed like a joke, and then...
But I think that's what it was, right? I don't think she is a character. She's just a joke.
It's just a joke. I don't know, maybe that's what they were going for, who knows, but yeah.
I think so. I can't tell you a trait of hers. She's,
I didn't even remember her name until you brought it up.
to go on this trip? I don't know. Maybe it's paid for by the school. Perfect opportunity to have Peter have some relatable money problems. But nope, it's too fun for that. I'm sick of a Peter Parker without problems, without relatable problems, and without lasting consequences.
I don't know. I think chasing a crush is a relatable problem.
Yeah, trying to chase a crush while having freaking the Avengers like breathing down his neck.
I mean,
Trying to get him to do things.
Yeah, it is a problem, him wanting to go on a holiday and the fact that, he has superhero things to do, but I don't like the fact that he, tries to fob off the superhero thing in preference to the holiday thing. That I didn't like. But it is a legitimate personal problem that is existing, that he is having to deal with. So the fact that he is not dealing with problems, I don't agree with. Yes, there are problems.
Consequences for those unrelatable issues he faces. This isn't a version of Peter that I can empathize with, feel for, care about, root for. This is a kid who is handed everything and wants to give it all up to go on a school trip. This is a kid who gets knocked down but gets pulled back up by Tony Stark, by Nick Fury, by Happy Hogan, by his supportive friends. This is a kid who hasn't quite got it, and with great power comes great responsibility. This is a kid who has
I mean, I agree with some of his criticisms there. Like, I think...
Is he counting both films or just Far From Home with these things?
He's making some very broad statements, and so it's hard to try and address every single one. I mean, because there are some things that I think, no, that's not entirely fair, but that point is a fair thing. And is he referring to this movie or that movie? Yeah,
I think it's this one. And I don't know, man. When he takes on the army of drones and Mysterio himself, like... He's, I don't know.
The great power with great responsibility thing. I definitely got that in Homecoming. Tony was trying to tell him that, just not that directly. He didn't give him the.
Doesn't
quote.
Use those words.
It's not really Tony's quote to give. Yeah, because Ben gave him those quotes, as far as we know. Anyway, we don't really know for sure, but still, I feel like he did learn that arc in Homecoming.
But if he did learn it, is betraying that standard in this movie.
Well, see, but that's the element of naivety. He thinks he's being responsible to provide the glasses to the world's greatest hero.
Yeah, and not to mention, like...
anything related to the glasses, because I find it so dumb that they even exist, just undermines any validity anyone can try and put to them, because I still come back to but they shouldn't even be in the movie, they're stupid.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I understand. We get his logic. He's like, Tony trusted me to find the person who best should have these. Like, who better than the guy who, out of guilt, lost his Earth and is trying to defend ours and nearly gave his life to save it, Yep.
I want to watch it again to see if I can agree with that interpretation. I'm just not.
We should watch it together when it comes out, Shad.
Yeah, let's go on a date, Paul.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
The name Spider-Man, but feels nothing like Spider-Man to me. Peter Parker in the MCU is a happy-go-lucky kid who lives in the shadow of a more interesting, charismatic, and capable hero, and maybe that's the point. He was introduced as a fun side character in Civil War, and from there on out, used to tell us things about Tony Stark and his legacy.
I'd be surprised if Tony's going to have much more relevance outside of this film. I feel like this film was almost a goodbye.
Oh, no, they're going to do an Ironheart. They're female. There's going to be a female.
Oh, no, sorry.
Iron
I mean in
Man
relation for
display.
Peter. So, like, Peter's sort of goodbye to him was this film.
Gee, I don't know. Like, if they don't address some fairly significant things, it's going to feel like a lot of inconsistency. Like, is he going to be using the Iron Spider in the next
Oh, no, you're right.
movie?
Yeah.
Or,
it depends on how they deal with all of
like,
that.
what does he do with the glasses and stuff? And then... I didn't like the end credit scene, but I guess we'll come to that eventually.
But
the story of Spider-Man shouldn't be a story about Iron Man. The legend of Peter Parker is more important than that. Far From Home doesn't take the iconic character of Spider-Man seriously, so why should I take this movie seriously? This film constantly feels the need to remind you not to take it seriously. Peter is betrayed, beat up, his friends...
I don't know, man. When he's staring at Tony's grave, it does seem like a serious moment. The plane scene seemed like a serious moment.
So sorry, this is really random, but the drones create illusions, yet are they throwing around real water in that Hydro Man illusion?
So we see them shoot bullets, fire missiles, throw fire, and like pulse. And they show them under the water, and they pulse, and it was like sends waves over the side.
Okay.
So it's easy to tell that like either the torpedoes or the pulses are splashing water from the canal.
That's I think we're supposed to assume that. No, it's a fair question, honestly.
Almost die and Mysterio is dead. But seconds after all this trauma, Peter is smiling because he kissed the girl and saved the day.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd say that could make you smile. I mean,
I don't know, man. I'd be pretty happy
Supposed to
myself.
still be crying.
I can believe
He
that
is,
he'd be happy.
he is crying under the mask when he's, meeting MJ.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Wait, yeah, I meant to ask you about that. You
Scolded at one
said
point,
when you
yeah.
say he's crying under the mask, he's not wearing a mask when he talks to MJ on the bridge.
Doesn't he?
No, because the mask is off when he puts on
okay,
the Edith thing, and then when he goes down, it's off as well.
Okay, because I specifically remember MJ commenting on him crying or something during that scene. I need to watch it again.
I agree with that.
Nothing is learned. No lasting impact. No emotional weight. J.K. Simmons returns as J. Jonah Jameson, which in any other franchise or any other movie would be literally the best thing ever, and I would probably cry tears of joy. But I could care less because seconds later, the entire world now knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Any chance of his identity crisis becoming an issue, all the stories and all the drama that comes from him having to hide half of himself, is tossed away. If I were an optimistic man, I would say that they could tell some pretty dramatic and cool stories about the entire world knowing he's Spider-Man. It's a very different direction for this classic character, a direction that could be interesting and provide real lasting consequences. But knowing how the MCU has treated Peter, it will probably be brushed off and somehow turned into a running joke.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
that's yet to be seen.
yeah, I didn't like the reveal of him being Spider-Man. I mean, my biggest issue was the fact that I felt it happened way too soon in this character progression, and there was so much missed that you would have expected to have been explored as the Spider-Man character to reach something so extreme. It really struck me in the same way as killing Superman so early in the DC universe. Is like, whoa, there was a lot of setup you should have gone through before just jumping onto that. And then my other issue, and I was talking to you about this before, Mola, is I don't think they're going to commit to it, maybe for a movie or two, but somehow the status quo is going to be reset up.
Let's hope they don't do the thing that you were telling me about.
I know. Well, Dr. Strange will come in and mind wipe everyone to give Peter Parker the safety in his life again, to stop the villains attacking, Aunt May or something. And that's a cop out. That annoys me. Like, if you're gonna do it, commit to it, and then see if you can. Well, could they make a better Spider-Man as a result in this new status quo? Possibly. I reckon if you're gonna have the balls to do something like that, then see it through.
Yeah, I'm going to be very curious how they handle the third film in his, if you call it trilogy at that point. I guess you would. We'll have to see.
That makes it really exciting to see where they go with it.
Clearly, I'm not an optimistic man. Spider-Man Far From Home was a theater experience I genuinely wish to forget. I never thought Spider-Man would become this. I never thought I would see a Spider-Man movie that made me feel this empty. And I guess I'm just done. You won't see another video from me about this franchise unless they take another major shift in direction. You won't see the dude who has been in love with Spider-Man and been in love with film since he was 4 years old. You won't see my ass in the theater. And boy, does that suck. This isn't my Spider-Man, which would be fine if this was a film I enjoyed outside of that, but it wasn't. This isn't any kind of film series that I care about. If you care about it, that's great. If this Peter works for you, that's great. I don't want to take that away from you. I'm not here to shit on your joy and happiness, and I'm definitely not here to tell you how to feel.
And we are not here to shit on your unhappiness. Because that would just be mean.
But
that's what makes you
there
unhappy.
is the heartbreak of a true Spider-Man fan, my friends. I can understand, a decent amount of his disappointment. Of course, I don't agree with every criticism he gives, but I think there's some decent amount of overlap here.
All I can do is tell you how I feel, and I feel a little bit heartbroken.
I feel betrayed. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed.